Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Let's Get Growing podcast. It's Vine Dental Podcast. My name is Tanner Applegate. I'm really grateful to be your host today. I feel like I'm a little bit on SNL with these rotating hosts, so I appreciate the invite from Vine to be able to do this. So, like I said, my name is Tanner Applegate. I am currently the founder and CEO of Unify Dental. I think there will be a couple times we'll explain a little bit about what Unify Dental is throughout our podcast today, but a little bit of background on me prior to Unify is that I got into dental through undergrad. I was going to undergrad with the intention to go to dental school and interviewed a bunch of dentists and said, hey, if you could do undergrad differently, what would you do? And they all said that they wish they studied business. So in undergrad, I studied business, did my pre-dental prereqs. And while I was in the business classes, I quickly realized that I was way more passionate about the people and the interaction side of the business side of the dentistry, and less so about the clinical, the biology, all of that side of dentistry. And so I learned about the ability to kind of own through a DSO structure. And in undergrad, I started my first kind of multi-location group with a dentist, partnered with him, and then sold out of that group, and then partnered with another dentist and grew that one. So my background has really been in kind of multi-location sites, helping dental offices run a little bit more efficiently and proficient, and helping them kind of give the best patient care without getting lost in the weeds of the day-to-day. Right. So I'm really excited to be able to be here. Vine has prompted 5 different questions that I'm going to go through today with you and share a little bit about my background and experience with the understanding, though, that every day I am a lifelong learner. So I feel like I'm every day learning things along the journey. The day that you're listening to it today, I may have grown and developed different opinions, but at this moment of time, these are kind of based off of my 10 plus years of multi-site location, operating and working with the privilege of working with multiple different team members, teams, offices, office managers, dentists, etc. This is kind of what I've learned. So let's get going. What inspired me to pursue a career in dentistry? I mentioned a little bit about my background. I guess why I wanted to get into dental was early in my life, I had early intervention ortho. So was in ortho for 10 plus years with different kind of phases, I guess you could call them, and fell in love with the lifestyle of the dental business. I've always been kind of entrepreneurial in heart. In 4th grade, don't repeat this to anyone that shouldn't know, but in 4th grade, I used to go on computers and make my own Pokemon cards and print them out and trade them with people, which at the time I had no idea, but now I learned that it's kind of copyright infringement. But that's kind of just how I've done things. It's always kind of been on my way. And so I love that business model of dentistry, is that it's usually a single doc owner, and you have the ability to kind of influence and do whatever you wanted as a small business owner. And so that was attractive for me, which is why I decided to go and study that in college, right? It was also, the reason why clinically I was attracted to it is I loved the idea that when I got my braces off finally after 10 plus years, a 16-year-old boy, the amount of confidence I got from the straight, having a great smile. My mom was nice enough to also get me whitening kind of at the same time. And so it was really this like life-changing thing where it really gave me a lot of confidence. And so I wanted to be able to enable that for people, which is why I was interested in dentistry in the first place. So I guess leading in then to question number 2, a memorable patient success story that showcases impact. Before I get into that answer, I wanted to talk a little bit, just kind of touch on briefly. I know this is not what this thing is about, but one of the things is I was running multiple offices is how I love when I would hear the term like, oh no, not another software, right? As a dental office, we are constantly using so many different types of software to do different things, patient engagement tools, interaction tools, RCM things, PMSs, a million different insurance portals, etc. That it was something that I just kind of like, as I tried to grasp my head around it and kind of map out all the different tools we were using within our organization, it ended up being mind-bogglingly large, right? And so as I sat there and watched my team, and I'd say, hey, can you pull up this person's account on insurance portal? They would struggle. They'd be flipping back and forth on their notebooks, and they would or they try and open up the spreadsheet and copy and paste it in, and it would be wrong, and they just kind of be locked out, and then they'd have to spend another 5 to 10 minutes chasing down the right one, right? And that complexity just kind of drove me crazy. And so there was one time where I knew Unify and the solution to all of this, which is what we ended up creating. Why I knew that was going to be my path is because a patient came in very hesitant to come in, but then learned about, the doctor said, hey, we can get you started right now on implants, but the patient really wanted to know their coverage. So I remember watching this front desk lady, her name was Karen, which is like kind of ironic. She tried to access this patient's coverage online, tried multiple different logins, didn't work, got locked out, ended up having to call the insurance company, and it put everyone behind. They were the last patient of the day. Everyone was frustrated, etc. And I was like, this just got to be a better method. Like, yes, people are changing passwords. It happens all the time. You can put them into a notebook. You can put them into a spreadsheet. But like, why can't it just be accurate when you need to? And that was kind of where I decided to go with Unify. And so I guess it was kind of a negative patient success story, but it was still kind of a major thing to me where I was like, it's amazing how when you're in the flow of something, especially when there's a timeline to it, the little things such as logging in accurately can be a major barrier to our success. And then it ends up kind of throwing everything else off as well. Luckily, the patient ended up getting that care. But I think that it could have been a more positive experience if they were able to just jump in, look at the information online, and get it to the patient within 3 minutes, and not turn around kind of a half hour later after a phone call to be able to give them that information. All right. So that was one of the things that just kind of fascinating to me. I know that the admin, who I have a very kind of soft spot in my heart for, the multitasking that's needed by front office team members and by office managers, et cetera, I really don't think there's hardly any other job in the world, but for sure in dentistry, that requires that much multitasking. And so when you get stopped by something small like that, it really can kind of throw off the rest of what you're working on. So as far as, and the transition then into question 3, in my opinion, what emerging dental technologies and trends excite you for the future of dentistry? Really, and this is why I love the multi-location model, is because I am a firm believer in specialization. Each different task that you do within the dental office requires different skill sets to be excellent at it, right? So if a patient is needing a treatment plan, your ability to empathize with the patient, understand their problems, and understand kind of their barriers to getting from keeping them to do it, that is a very kind of people-to-people skill set. Whereas if you're doing billing and following up with insurance and all of these other things, this is very kind of process-oriented, technical. And so the skill sets required for both of those are very different. And so this dental technology that gets me excited is the ability to hand off some of those to allow team members more to specialize in what skill sets they have, right? So again, if you're and I see these a lot in dental, I unfortunately I wouldn't say that it was my strength, but if you're a people person, being able to have automation in your RCM where you don't have to worry about insurance verification is taken care of for you, or you don't have to follow up those claims because it's handled for you, that type of technology that says, hey, I'm not good at this task, I don't want to have to do it, is there a way that we can automate that? That's what's exciting to me, to then allow those team members to focus on their greatest strengths and less so on just kind of getting jobs done that are expected to get done. So really, I guess on the RCM front, the technology is very exciting to me, and I am grateful to be able to play a role, even small, in that, because I think it is a complex, broken system that the major influences on that broken system is the insurance industry that we can't control as the dental industry as much. And so the ability to be able to kind of leverage this newer empathetic technology of AI to be able to work through that, that's very exciting to me. 4th question, and I love that they asked this because, especially for myself, I can get into dentistry as a task and process oriented world. Like, I love thinking about like, here's how we are currently doing things, how do we do them better? But we have to always step back, and I find myself reminding myself a lot of this too, is that as it boils down to it, we are still a service-oriented business, right? The people that we serve, it is person to person that the whole experience is felt for them. So how we show up to work is critical for the care that the patients are going to receive. So the question that is posed is, how do we approach educating and empowering dental office staff to take control of their health outside of the clinic for work-life balance? So I'm gonna kind of modify that question a little bit. I'm gonna say, really, how do we educate and empower team members in order to have a better work-life balance? Health is a key of that, but I don't think it's the only piece of that. And so to me, the work-life balance, the key part of that is understanding your strengths. This is something that as a leader, I really doubled down and focused on, is that a lot of people think that they know themselves, but really don't hone in on where are they the strongest, right? And so if I'm working with somebody who gets really excited about marking things off of a list, or who gets really excited about being able to solve complex problems, kind of play the investigator, those people, I know that if I get them in front of people all day, every day, and doing like calling presentations or like dealing with upset patients, they're going to burn out. Like, it's not what's exciting to them. And so in work-life balance, to me, it's really like, if you understand who you are as a person and what gets you excited, what wears you out, etc., really then being able to hone in on that provides a lot more stress reduction, I think, in your life than a lot of things that can happen outside, right? A lot of people think, oh, if I go and I just go on a walk every morning for 15 minutes, then it's all of a sudden going to make my mental health better. And I do agree that those little things can add up. But the reality is like the most time that we spend in a day for a lot of us is going to be working, right? It's not going to be with our family. It's not going to be in alone time, et cetera. It's going to be working. And so if we can do what we can in order to reduce the stress in that environment, that's going to give us a way better work-life balance than any small kind of task that can be done outside of that. So as a leader, my advice in that front is help empower the teams to be able to identify where their strengths are and where they're not. I mean, there's a lot of different tools and methodologies out there. Ones that I personally used with our team was the Kolbe, for sure. The Kolbe test helped people identify how you show up at work, right? Maybe you're a fact finder and you need more information to feel comfortable to do a project. Or maybe you are a quick start where you say, let's go in and do this. And it ends up like where you end up having to realize, okay, let me support myself with other people around me. So I think being able to identify who you are and then allowing those team members to work in those strengths is the best thing that you can do as a leader in order to really help the work-life balance, really, which ultimately in my mind is stress reduction, right? So I could go off in hours and hours on this. This was something that we spent a lot of time on in our organizations. We did one-on-one coaching sessions weekly. We made sure that we were constantly kind of having open communication about how different events affected different people. And we just kind of created a language around knowing who is good at what and making sure that we're playing to those strengths. And that created an amazing team dynamic, as well as the kind of work-life balance that all of us were individually kind of seeking. So final question, if we could give one piece of advice to fellow dentists and dental professionals to grow their practice, what would it be? This is an amazing question. And the reality in my mind is, don't be afraid to try something new. And I'll tell you why I say this. In the dental industry in general, we get really caught up as an industry in what we've done in the past is what we're going to continue to do. Where there's a little bit of a hesitancy to try something new, to adopt a new program, to adopt a new process, to trade roles or do things differently with people in the organization. And a lot of the times we think, okay, if this is how we've done it, we need to continue to do it. And I think that lack of growth mentality is the debilitating factor in our growth. right? Because we've always done it that way, we're going to continue to do it. And so I think thinking outside the box and always kind of being growth oriented is always the advice that I gave our team, right? And growth oriented means different things to different people. So there are people that want to get the new role, that want to kind of grow in that way. And there are people that want to just have more accountability or responsibility in what they're doing. And so I think that growth is always kind of improving yourself, but improving yourself in what's important to you and what's important to the organization. So trying new systems, trying new processes is something that ultimately I think that mindset shifts the outcome of the practice more than anything, more than technology, more than anything that could exist. I mean, again, we are a people-to-people organization, right? We are people serving other people. We're not other businesses where we are just selling kind of blind, right? When you think about iPhone and Apple's model, it's not because of a person that I bought an iPhone, it's because of their marketing. Well, it's because of a person that you get dental work done. It's not because of marketing, right? And so I think that ultimately making sure that we show up well in that work-life balance, and then being able to have that open mindset of doing things differently and helping those around us feel comfortable and secure enough to be able to do that. That's the ultimate hack, I think you could say, to growing a dental office. So I'll leave it there. It may not have been kind of in the direction that I initially intended it to go, but I do think and feel that ultimately that is where I have seen the most success from the groups and the dental offices that I've been able to work with. So in summary, again, really appreciate Vine and the opportunity to do this. I have been also fortunate enough and grateful that we are able to do a webinar with Vine for like why logging chaos really drives so much inefficiency in a dental office and how it can actually help streamline and reduce the day-to-day headaches. So if you're listening to this and you want to kind of like learn a little bit more about what Unify does and how we are doing and changing that game, right? Wouldn't it be incredible? And this is exactly what we do, is if you could log in once and you have access to every insurance portal, you don't have to chase them around, or every tool that you use, you don't have to chase around passwords, and that those password changes automatically get updated. The 2FA codes are automatically filled in. Like, that is the world that we live in today. And it seems so small, but it can make a huge impact on that mental health. So if you want to learn more about that, please see the webinar below. And again, appreciate it. I hope to be able to connect with you all in the future as well.